you all. I am Rakshita, going to take social science classes for you. Today, let us start our social science class. In the history part, we are going to know about the first chapter, tracing changes through 1,000 years. What is the title of the chapter? Tracing changes through 1,000 years.
Yes, dear children, look at the image of map now. Yes. A person who makes maps. A person who makes maps is called cartographer. Cartographer means a person who draws or produces maps. It is very important to know about the maps because to the help of maps we can tracing changes to 1,000 years. Through the maps, we can get to know about the past. Through the maps, we can came across information about the countries as well as subcontinents and all. In simple words, we can say that through the maps or through the help of maps, we get to know about the world. It helps so many sailors as well as merchants on their voyages, isn't it? Let's trace changes through 1,000 years. Through the help of maps in this chapter. Keenly observe the image of map 1 now. Take a look at maps 1 now. And now take a look at map 2. I hope you keenly observed these two maps, map 1 and map 2. Map 1 was made in 1154 CE by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi. Map 1 was made or produced by the Arab geographer. His name is Al-Idrisi in the year 1154 CE. And the second map was made in the year 1720s by a French cartographer. Map 2 was made in the year 1720s by a French cartographer. Let us know about the differences between map 1 and map 2. The art of cartography was different in 1154 CE and in 1720s. The maps that were made by Arab geographer Al-Idrisi in 1154 and French cartographer in 1720 provide a clear sketch of the Indian subcontinent of earlier times. Map 1 as well as Map 2 both also provides us a clear sketch of the earlier times Indian subcontinent. It provides us clear sketch of the Indian subcontinent which existed during the earlier times. In Al-Idrisi's map, South India was considered as present-day North India with Sri Lanka in the north. The names of places were written in Arabic and some well-known places such as Kannauj of Uttar Pradesh were written as Kannauj. Map 2 was made after 600 years of Map 1 by French cartographer with a change in subcontinent's information. This map was then used by merchants and European sailors on their voyages. Map 2 was made nearly 600 years after the map 1. Okay, the first map was produced or made by Arab geographer Al-Idrisi in the year 1154. This map was produced in the year 1154 by Arab geographer Al-Idrisi, and this map was in Arabic language. Okay. This maps is marked in Arabic language, means the places names were mentioned in a Arabic language. For example, the well-known names like Kannauj in Uttar Pradesh and all, it's spelled in the map. For example, the well-known name of Kannauj of Uttar Pradesh, the spelling is Kanauj, but it's spelled in the Al-Idrisi's map as Kannauj, spelling Qanauj. And the map 2, it was made nearly 600 years after the map 1 was produced, and during which time information about the subcontinent had changed considerably. And this map, means map 2, is more familiar to us, and the coastal areas in particular areas are surprisingly detailed here in this map. Means this map was used by European sailors as well as merchants for their voyages and all. Means in the maps 2, coastal areas were mentioned as particular manner, but in map 1 it was not like that, because that was the map which was produced before the map 2. Nearly after 600 years or later 600 years, map 2 was produced. So map 2 is very familiar to us, and this map only used by European sailors and merchants on their voyages. While comparing these two maps, it makes us to know that it is the equally important is the fact that the science of cartography differed in the two periods. Means when historians read documents, maps and text from the past, they have to be sensitive to the different historical backgrounds, is that the context in which information about the past was produced, because the science of cartography is differed in the two periods. While we comparing to the map 1 and map 2, it is entirely totally differed. So the science of cartography means the study of the maps is totally differed. When historians read some of the documents, or it may be the maps or some of the text from the past, they have to be sensitive to the different historical backgrounds, means different historical events or some of the informations regarding to some of the particular context and all, in which information about the past was produced while comparing to the or while referring to the some of the historical documents or the maps or the text and all. Let us know about the new and old terminologies. Yes, let us know about new and old terminologies. There are so many historical records that exist, isn't it? That tells us about the past events as well as provides us past information. And those records exist in a variety of languages which have changed considerably over the years. Means some of the records exist or consist some particular grammar and vocabulary, and there are so many languages the particular text may exist, or the meanings of words also change over time and all. So historical records also consist some set of special words or vocabulary or meanings and all, and even they also change over time. Take the term Hindustan for example, okay? Take the term Hindustan as an example. Let us know about how the term Hindustan also change over time. Yes, today we understand it as India, isn't it? Today we understand the term Hindustan as India, the modern nation state, isn't it? Yes, but this term means the term Hindustan was used in the 13th century by a chronicler. His name is Minhaj-e-Siraj. The term Hindustan was used in the 13th century by Minhaj-e-Siraj, a chronicler who wrote in Persian. He meant the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the lands between Ganga and Yamuna. According to Minhaj-e-Siraj, a chronicler who wrote in Persian language, he coined this term Hindustan. According to him, Hindustan means the areas of Punjab, Haryana and lands between Ganga and Yamuna in the 13th century. But now we refer this term, means we refer the term Hindustan as India, means the modern nation state. Minhaj-e-Siraj used the term Hindustan in the political sense for lands that were part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultan. During the period of Delhi Sultan, Minhaj-e-Siraj used this term in the political sense, means he referred this particular term for the lands that were part of the control or under the rule or under the dominions of the Delhi Sultan during the time of 13th century. And the areas included this term shifted with the extent of the Sultanate, but the term never included South India. And in the 16th century, this term means Hindustan was used by Babur. In the 16th century, the term Hindustan was used by Babur, and he used this word to describe the geography, the fauna, and the culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinents. Babur used the term Hindustan to describe the geography, means geographical areas of his region, as well as the fauna and culture, as well as the tradition and culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinents. Inhabitants means someone or thing who lives in a place. To describe the geography as well as fauna and culture of the people or things who lives in a place or in the subcontinent region, Babur used the term Hindustan in the early 16th century. And this was somewhat similar to the way the 14th century poet Amir Khusro used the word Hind. In the 14th century, a poet called Amir Khusro used the word Hind. He used the word Hind. In the 14th century, in his poetry and all, in his writing. And while the idea of geographical and cultural entity like India did exist, the term Hindustan did not carry the political and national meanings which we associate with it today. Today, we refer the term Hindustan, isn't it? But this term carry the political as well as national meanings in today, isn't it? In today or in today's society, the word Hindustan carry the political as well as national meaning, but it was not like that in the earliest time, because in the 13th century, Minhaj-e-Siraj used this word for purpose of political sense, means which referred as a part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultanate, and later in the 16th century Babur used this term to describe the geography as well as fauna and culture of the inhabitants of his subcontinent, as well as in the 14th century the poet Amir Khusro used the word Hind, which was also similar like before the time, but it was not like, or it was not carry the meaning which associated before in today's time. And historians today have to be careful about the terms they use because they meant different things in the past. Take some more example. For example, the word foreigner. Okay, it is used today to mean someone who is not an Indian, okay, except Indians, or someone who is not belong to India or who is not an Indian. For them, the term used or referred to as foreigner, isn't it? Yes, who belongs to other country and all, who is not an Indian, he is called foreigner in today. But in the medieval period, a foreigner means he was any stranger or who appeared to say in a given village, or someone who was not a part of that society or culture. In the medieval period, the term foreigner was used for a person who was stranger, means he was not belongs to a particular given village, or who was not live in a particular village, or who was someone who was not a part of that society or culture, he is called foreigner during the past time. For example, in Hindi, the term Pardeshi means it might be used to describe such a person, and in Persian, Ajnabi. In Hindi, the term Pardeshi means foreigner, as well as in Persian, the word Ajnabi means also foreigner, means a stranger who was not belong to a given village, or he was not someone who belongs to a particular society or culture, isn't it? And in today's society, we refer this word to mean someone who is not an Indian. And a city dweller, also referred to as foreigner during the medieval period. But two peasants living in the same village were not foreigners to each other, even though they may have had different religious or caste backgrounds. They were not referred to as foreigners during the medieval period. For example, two peasants or two people who associate themselves in agricultural works and all, they lived in a particular village, but they were not foreigners, means they were not belongs to a particular village, but they were not referred to as foreigners in the medieval period, even though they had different religions, as well as if they had also belongs to different caste backgrounds, they were not referred to as foreigners during the medieval period. These are the some of the new and old terminologies we came across in this chapter. Let us recall some of the points. A person who makes maps or person who produces or draws maps is called cartographer, and maps are very important for us to know about the past or to know about a particular continent, country or place and all. And while we referring to map 1 and map 2, we get to know about some of the differences. Map 1 was made in the year 1154 CE by the Arab geographer Al-Idrisi, and in this map, place or names are marked or mentioned in Arabic language. And map 2 was made in the year 1720s by a French cartographer. This map was produced or made nearly 600 years after the map 1, and in this map subcontinent name has changed considerably, and this map seems more familiar to us because the coastal areas and in particular are surprisingly detailed in this map, and this map only was used by European sailors as well as merchants on their voyages. And while comparing to the both maps, we came to know about the fact that the science of cartography differed in the two periods. The science of cartography was differed in the two periods. And some of the new and old terminologies we came across in this chapter. For example, the word Hindustan, and which today we understand it as India, the modern nation state. And during the 13th century, this term was used by Minaji Siraj, a Persian chronicler, and chronicler means a person who accounts or records of events. Okay, yes, in the time of 13th century, he referred this term for a political sense for the lands that were part of the dominions of the Delhi Sultan. Particularly, he referred this word for the lands or areas of Punjab, Haryana, and the lands between Ganga and Yamuna. And in the 16th century, the term Hindustan was referred by Babur, and he used this term to describe the geography, the fauna and culture of the inhabitants of the subcontinents. And later, even in the 14th century also, a poet called Amir Khusro used this term. He used the word actually Hind, not Hindustan. Amir Khusro used the word Hind in the 14th century. And today we are using the term Hindustan, which did not carry the geographical or dominions of the rulers. The term Hindustan, what we term today, it has a political as well as national meaning, which associated today. And one more example for new and old terminology is foreigner. The term foreigner, which we use today to mean someone who is not an Indian or who is not belong to India or who belongs to some other country, is called as foreigner in India, isn't it? But in the medieval period, this term is used for a stranger, means who appears to live in a given village, or someone who was not a part of that particular society or culture or village is called as foreigner. For example, the same term used in Hindi as Pardeshi as well as in Persian referred to as Ajnabi for a foreigner. And even in the medieval period, the term foreigner refers to as a city dweller, means the person who is living or traveling for a city and all, who is not belong to a particular village. And even the term foreigner was also referred to a peasants living in the same village. Means peasants who living in a given village, they are called as foreigner during the medieval time. But it was not referred to a peasants living in the same village, and even they may have different religious or caste backgrounds, they were not referred to as foreigner during the medieval period or during the past time. This is all about today's class. Let us continue our class tomorrow.
Yes, dear children, I hope you understood today's class. Thank you.